Welcome, everyone. I am Karin Glazier, Senior Marketing Director here at Crossviews. And today I have the pleasure in speaking with Ash Townsend, our Head of Pre-Sales in our UK division. And we're going to be chatting a bit about ServiceNow Orlando CSM. Hey, Ash, how are you today?
Yeah, very good. Thanks. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I know this is like our second conversation, so I'm
We're
really
doing
excited
well.
to, I know, right? So to dive into a specific area of Orlando, I think is really going to help folks understand about CSM, how it's different from the previous version, and with this new release, what that really entails. And actually, that's my first question for you.
Yeah.
So what's the big so what about Orlando CSM as compared to the previous version?
Yeah. I think there's probably no one so what. There's a number of features in CSM that have come out in Orlando. So ServiceNow, bit of backstory. ServiceNow have been building on their CSM offerings. They were fairly late to the game compared to other CSM solutions, but the platform now does have a true sort of omni-channel CSM solution available to people. And the Orlando release has been largely focused on CSM improvements and enhancements and some new features as well. So there's things like agent affinity for workload assignment, knowledge insights, operational service health, so that you get a view of your customer service base. There's a feature called customer project management, which is all about actually the combination of CSM and PPM for people familiar with project portfolio management. And there's a ton more, but probably best we focus in on a few of those for today.
Great. Why don't we jump into agent affinity for work assignment, which I know
Yep.
pretty much allows the users to assign work to the best agent based on
Yeah.
intelligent context. What does it actually mean and what value does that provide?
It's exactly that. So its sole purpose is tackling that challenge where, as a consumer or a user of a service, when I phone up, it would clearly be more valuable for me to speak to an agent or interact with an agent that I was previously working with, who has a historical knowledge of my customer case. And that's the purpose of this agent affinity functionality. It's designed for automatic routing of those issues to effectively the most qualified and available agent. And that will work for sort of chats, cases, phone calls, any particular task that gets raised from any, CSM is typically omni-channel, so any channel that your communication is coming in from, it's going to pick up on that context, and it will use history, related other tasks, account team responsibilities to automatically assign that case and that interaction. So hopefully that makes sense. And then for an example of that would be sort of what I alluded to. If I was an end user and having some sort of interaction, let's say with ServiceNow's virtual agent about a particular case, about a problem I'm having, and at some point I decide that actually this needs to be escalated to a live agent, it would make sense and be reasonable that the most knowledgeable agent is going to be the one that was already working on that case. And so agent affinity would link it to that individual, and that agent could pick up on the tasks, effectively helping large organizations filter through quicker and enable better and faster customer service.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's like the utopia for a consumer to call up a company and be able to talk to someone they've talked to before and have the one view and they have all that history. I mean, that's just an amazing feature. It sounds like, I
Yeah.
think it's not just for the agent and the ease of use and their ability to get closer and engage better with that customer, but the customer's experience, they would have a great one if they had all of that background already presented to them versus having to restate everything all over again.
Precisely.
Excellent. So moving on to our next feature in the Orlando CSM, knowledge demand insight, which, as I understand, is a feature that's meant to improve self-service and case resolution.
Mm-hmm.
I think by automatically identifying and visualizing knowledge gaps. Now that's a mouthful, so can you kind of clarify that a little bit for us and talk about what that really means and the value it delivers?
Yes, so I think you've stolen my thunder on exactly what it does, but you're absolutely right. It's identifying, so automatically the platform will help identify gaps in your knowledge base. So a knowledge base isn't new, it's something that's been around for a long time in the platform. ServiceNow have released this functionality to effectively help self-service so that the knowledge base is relevant and up to date through sort of creating articles and helping the process through creation of those articles. So your knowledge base admins can go to this dashboard and see that there are gaps in your knowledge, and this would be an opportune time and place to put new knowledge into your knowledge base. And as we all know, right, if your end users attempt to go to some sort of self-service portal and self-serve their issue, and that knowledge base doesn't have the information available to them, that will probably be the last time they go to that knowledge base. So it's critical that you keep up to date and keep your articles relevant, and that's exactly what this is designed for. And the value really lies in that sort of repeat business, getting people to come back, incident deflection. If I'm able to solve my issue myself through a knowledge article, I'm not contacting the service desk or raising a case. I'm not absorbing any time of my agents or the service desk teams.
Yep. Get in, get out, get your problem resolved, and
Yeah.
really deliver that frictionless customer experience that we really need today in especially with online and mobile. So talk a little bit about real-time service health. What is that? What's the value it provides the customer service teams? That sort of thing.
Yeah, so the real-time service health is, and a lot of the Orlando release has been about visibility and transparency, as you've probably picked up on. This is very much the same. It's allowing your teams, your service agents to track the real-time status of a customer's installed services. And so the value there is really the opportunity to provide improved customer experience, right? So proactively detect and respond to customer-wide outages. It shows a level of maturity and that proactive nature in that I'm reaching out and saying, look, fully aware that, dear Mr. Customer, you're experiencing some outage, or perhaps you're not aware yet, but we are, and we're working to resolve it. It builds a level of trust and confidence in your service that you can offer to your customer base. Ideally, that's then going to feed into reducing the number of inbound calls, because you won't need so many people complaining that there are outages. You're being proactive about it, presenting it on a portal of your customers' kind of access. That's going to free up your customer service teams, allow them to work on delivering value elsewhere. And likewise, the customer is still kept up to date. They're not in the dark about anything. They have a status of their services and they can see the real-time service.
Excellent. That sounds like a wonderful feature. So we have customer project management, which makes it possible for customers to track the progress of complex projects. And we all know we have a lot of those in our organization. So
Yes.
What does that really mean? What value does that really give the customer?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that one.
So a great way to look at the customer project management is from a consumer perspective, and something that we should all be familiar with. Sort of, if I'm trying to get some new internet at home, or order something off Amazon, my experience there through consuming a service is very much the minute I've ordered that item or service, as an end user, I'm immediately presented with a transparent view of order progress, the actions available to me to act on that item or service, the areas that I can seek help on that particular order. And you can imagine the sort of access you get from a mobile app or a portal, right? Everything's in one place. There's no need to chase anyone over the phone or send in an email and things like that. And so for a complex project where, let's say I did need some new internet, and you're working with an internet service provider, well, they've got to do a lot of things to provide that service. Probably there's provision and request some hardware, some routers and network gear need to go out. They need to get some leased lines. They need to work across some software, and that project really works well in a sort of project management space. But as a customer, I still expect to be able to see the state of that, and I'd love to be able to see where we're at in delivery of that service, and that's exactly what this customer project management solution is designed to do.
Excellent, excellent. So if somebody has an ITSM instance,
Yep.
does that grant them access to these same CSM features, or is that something different that they would have to get?
Yeah, good question. So largely no. So ITSM and CSM are separate. So you wouldn't be granted the same sort of access. And it's important to consider actually what fits your needs. So we're talking about CSM today, and clearly that's sort of customer, external, consumer focused. It could be B2B, B2C, but it's engaging entities outside of probably your internal ServiceNow and standard operating procedures kind of processes. Whereas ITSM is very much focused on that ITIL, internal workflow processes. This is how I operate my business or my IT units. This is how I raise change requests for new work to get done. And so there can easily be an amalgamation of them both. CSM probably will leverage a lot of ITSM, but you absolutely need to look at your use case. There may be a world in which you don't need CSM, but if you do have that external engagement, it's likely that ITSM wouldn't be suitable. We have a load of customers ask about whether they can use their incidents, problems, and changes for external customers. And while the processes might trivially seem similar, that they really aren't, and the engagement across them is very different. An omni-channel approach, being able to provide things like agent affinity and customer project management, it's very different in reality. And as we've seen in implementations that we've run, it's key that you identify your requirements and your use cases, and then make the call on whether ITSM or CSM is right for you.
Great, great. Well, Ash, it's always a pleasure to chat with you. You always allow me to fill my head with more information about ServiceNow in general, and in this case, ServiceNow Orlando, because there's really a lot of great features as you just went through. So I'm excited that we were able to cover this today. I hope the viewers got a lot of value out of this. And but if anybody wants to continue this discussion and dive deeper, maybe even see a demo of Orlando, we're happy to do that. So just reach out at letstalk@crossviews.com. Thank you, Ash, and stay well.
Thanks, Karin. You too.
Thank you.